Hi guys, hope everything is going well with you. I'm just here finishing the reading of my chapters from the book to argue logically or with heart, mind, and belief. Today I'm gonna start reading the chapter Democracy and Egalitarianism. So you will see the meaning of that egalitarianism as it is a sociology term. Let me start reading here. In modern democratic societies, the term egalitarian is often used to refer to a greater degree of equality of right, freedom, wealth, employment opportunities, and political power. So egalitarian doctrines rest on the background idea that all human persons are equal in fundamental worth and moral status. Based on the assumption that we are all human, that we have rights and obligations, that we share the globe, we ask for justice in all levels, social, political, economic, and everything other aspects of human endeavor. In the agendas for the 21st century, Joe R. Fagan is a sociologist, offers an analysis of a global capitalism. He claims that sociologists need to rediscover their roots in sociology committed to social justice, to cultivate and extend the long-standing counter-system approach to research, to encourage greater self-reflection in sociological analysis, and to re-emphasize the importance of teaching sociology. Finally, more sociologists should examine the major social issues of this century, including economic exploitation, social oppression, and the looming environmental crisis. Clearly, more sociologists should engage in the study of alternative social futures, including those of more just and egalitarian societies. Sociologists need to think deeply and imaginatively about sustainable social future and to aid in building better human societies. So egalitarians commonly criticize the existing distribution of income and wealth as unjust. They aim to reduce differences in order to achieve a more just society. They find it unjust that people's means are not proportionate to their needs or their labor. People who devote their life to serving the community are often paid little, while speculators in property market make massive fortunes. Wealthy people often hardly know what to do with their money, while the incomes of many households hardly provide the bare necessities of life. These inequalities are not merely indesirable, they are explicitly unjust because justice is bound up with equality. So, in his conception of liberal equality, Ronald Dworkin focuses on equality of resources. His theory of justice, political morality affirms a central role for the political ideal of equality, equal concern. Dworkin reaffirms the value of equality within a framework of contemporary liberalism. He considers the value of equality an endangered species in the contemporary liberalist tradition. He believes that economic inequalities have been totally marginalized. Nevertheless, he also believes that norms and moral equality, all persons have equal moral worth, and of political equality, like all persons have a right to participate in democratic decision making, have become stronger than ever. According to him, the fact that no uncontroversial answer exists to what equality or equal concern actually is in practice does not mean that an abstract concept of equality should be or could be forgotten. The contested character of equality was the fact that even prosperous democracies are very far from providing even a decent minimal life for everyone must not be a reason to abandon equality as a legitimate community goal. That I caught. That was his quote. So one might care about human equality in many ways for many reasons. As currently used, the word egalitarian does not necessarily indicate that everyone's condition be made the same in every respect or that people ought to be treated the same in every respect. An egalitarian can acknowledge differences between people, yet at the same time hold that all people should to be treated as equals, that all possess equal fundamental worth and dignity. In this sense, a no-egalitarian would be one who believes that people born into a higher social caste or a favorite race or ethnicity or with an above average stock of traits deemed desirable ought somehow to count for more than others when evaluating moral action. In political and economic thought, Marxism urges eliminating inequalities associated with capitalist market economies. Interpreting Karl Marx as an egalitarian normative theorist can be a tricky undertaking. He tended to eschew explicit normative theorizing on moral principle and regarded assertions of moral principles as so much ideological dust thrust in the eyes of the workers by defenders of capitalism. Marx does, of course, have an elaborate empirical theory of the evolution of moral principle corresponding to changes in economic mode of production. Human rights established by the United Nations Charter apply to all human beings, regardless of nationality, place of residence, sex, national or ethnic origin, skin color, religion, language, or any other status. Everyone, without discrimination, is equally entitled to human rights. Rights are interrelated, interdependent, and indivisible. We all came into this world powerless. We live for a limited time, and we all have right to live until our natural end. Here you go. 15 centuries ago, the second Islamic Caliph declared frankly and clearly, how come you enslave the people? Why they were born free? I quoted here the second Caliph, whose name is Omar ibn Khattab. In addition to filling a spiritual gap, Islam brought about a previously unknown degree of egalitarianism, from a profound fusion of transcendental spiritual wisdom with a strong sense of community sprang a society whose major concern focused on equity and equality before the law. As social animals, living with others is a necessity for humans. In his Politic, Aristotle stated, man is by nature a social animal. An individual who is unsocial naturally and not accidentally is either beneath our notice or more than human. Society is something that precedes the individual. The hormone oxytocin, long considered to play a key role in forming social bonds, has been shown to facilitate affiliation toward one's own in a group, but it can also increase defensive aggression toward one's outer group. Other research suggests that this self-sacrificial intra-group love co-evolve with inter-group war, and that societies who most value loyalty to each other tend to be those most likely to endorse violence toward outgroups. Anyone who either cannot lead the common life or is so self-sufficient as not to need to, and therefore does not partake of society, is either a beast or a god. That's Aristotle. Despite the capacity to consider others' mind, to emphasize with others' needs, and to transform empathy into care and generosity, we fail to employ these abilities readily, easily, or equally. We engage in acts of loyalty, moral concern, and cooperation primarily toward our inner circles, but we often do so at the expense of people outside those circles. Even our arguably most important social capacity, the ability to adopt the perspectives of others, can increase competition as much as it increases it. Highlighting the emotional desires of those we like, but also highlighting the selfish and unethical motives of people we dislike. Furthermore, For us to consider the mind of others in the first place requires that we feel motivated and possess the necessary cognitive resources. Because motivation and cognition are finite, so too is our capacity to be social. Because our social capacities are largely non-automatic and group-focused and finite, we can retire the strong version of Aristotle's statement. At the same time, the concept of humans as social by nature has lent credibility to numerous significant ideas. That humans need other humans to survive, that humans tend to be perpetually ready for social interaction, and that studying specifically the social features of human functioning is profoundly important. So, at the most basic level, human beings are drawn together for reproduction. Like other animals, every human has the instinct to reproduce. This instinctive need and the means to do it is not taught, it is innate. Humans gather together to survive and to prosper. Thus, the need to belong to a group is a part of each individual. In addition to this comes the desire to be needed by other members of the group. A natural satisfaction and security comes from knowing that we are of use to others, that others value our contributions. This social grouping impacts social relations, including how to manage power, how to reign, and who to govern, and which laws to establish. Egalitarianism could affect social life in different ways. Small-scale human societies reflect our tendency toward groupishness. Small groups help to check social differences and competition, thereby allowing for larger and more resilient groups to form. That's a sociologist, Bohem and Voss and Wesner. So if egalitarianism is viewed as a reverse dominance hierarchy or a way to damp down hierarchical expression, then it is reasonable that relatively minor degrees of inequality have been found in some upper Paleolithic, late Pleistocene societies. That's quoted from Hayden, 1995. Yet, at the same time, these inequalities were never sustained for long periods, nor were they formally institutionalized. It's from institutions. So to make it more sociable in form and to apply it in social or civic institution. Blanton and Farger argue based on sizable comparative sample that collective or corporately integrated policies are found where leaders are more dependent on local population for their economic support. By contrast, exclusionary rule tends to occur where leaders depend less on the local population, instead depending, for example, on spot resources or the control of trade, and so feel less motivated or obliged to give the community its own voice. In other words, in larger policies, the more rulers depend directly on their immediate sustaining local population for their research support, the more agency and voice that population is likely to assert. Whereas the less rulers depend on their subject, the more autocratic they tend to be. It seems significant that collaborative, consensual forms of decision making many forestall hierarchical development in smaller human groups that engage in high amounts of face-to-face contact. Johnson, 1982. While a greater degree of collective action and democratic practices may require more rapid increments of administrative complexity in large-scale social formations. Blanton and Farger, 2008-2010. So all the idea goes to vertical complexity refers to hierarchical governance with a concentrated decision making and centralized power. Horizontal complexity, on the other hand, emphasizes the differentiation of a population into various roles or subgroups. Size has a great impact on a community, including overall population, maximal community size, and geographic extent. The various means by which social units and their members interconnect reflect the nature and degree of interdependence and self-sufficiency. Human egalitarianism, social cooperative networks that lack institutionalized inequalities beyond those based on age or sex can be understood as a later Pleistocene social adaptation or innovation. So although institutionalized social complexity, the emergence of societies marked by hierarchical leadership and socioeconomic inequalities is post-Pleistocene. This discussion briefly delves back into earlier times because new research provides a somewhat different vantage on human cooperation from the later Paleolithic than the perspective that predominated a decade ago. So, I think I'm done with this chapter. I couldn't give you all the reference. I state some references I based my research on them in sociology and some political references. But I couldn't give you all the names because they don't show before me. I had them in the end of the book where I put the references. But I think I'm gonna stop here because I don't want to mix things, because the next chapter will be UN human rights. So we'll discuss this next time. I will read this next time. And till then, I let you go and say thank you for watching. Hope I get feedback from you. See you. Have a good day.